Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarita. So happy that you are joining me today. It is all of 95 degrees again today. And wherever you are, it may be something similar because the summer is persisting. It is chasing us into the fall months. And man, I'm really hoping that this last week was the last really hot week. At this point, it would be a relief just to be consistently in the mid 80s. So that's what I'm hoping for. I have a candle for you today from Kringle, and it is one of their quote unquote Halloween candles, but it's one that is very special to me and one that I believe can be burned earlier than Halloween and probably should be burned earlier than Halloween. And that candle in question is Nevermore. Here's what it looks like, but this is last year's pour. So if you get this off of the website now, currently, because it is still available, it is in a different label. So here's a picture of the new label, which is Nevermore. It's exactly the same candle. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually think this is one of the few labels that they brought out this year that is not, it's not a good trade. The original label was a whole lot better right here. I just don't think you can do much better than this particular label. It's got some metallicness on it, and it's just gorgeous. Both of them have a raven on the front, although that other one with the like purple, it's a raven on a rock, but for some reason it looked like a little dragon head. Just, I guess from a distance, I don't think it's that successful of a label. And like I said, I don't know why they would have changed it from this, because this is stunning. At any rate, it's the same candle, and I bought this last year. I did not burn it last year, although I talked about it. And this is super special to me because actually, and I even went back and looked, this was, I believe, the first video that I made on this channel. Was it was a Halloween haul, and I reviewed or gave my first impressions of 4 of the Halloween candles that I had bought. I think it was late October, so we haven't even been on this channel quite a year, but special to me because this was the first. And in that video, I did say that since this candle is so honey forward, and it does list honey as a note, but it's dominated by honey. Many of the Halloween candles, as an aside, do rely perhaps a little too much on the note of honey. But because this one is probably the most honey forward, I thought it was actually, and not that spooky, I actually thought that it would make a really good Rosh Hashanah candle, which, if you're not familiar, is the Jewish New Year, and it falls usually somewhere in September. And I thought this was a beautiful September burn. It's kind of a spicy honey candle. And as I said at the beginning, I'm just not sure, given the amount of harvest and then spooky candles that we all want to be burning in like October and November, given that prime real estate, I don't know of if a spicy honey candle is one that would make the rotation that deep into the fall area. But a spiced honey in September feels just about right, and kind of transitional as well. It doesn't, it's not apple forward, it's not pear, it's not certainly harvest pumpkin yet, but there's something about it, especially with the really deep, like resinous honey and with those spices in it, that does feel cozy, and it feels just about right for September. Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, the most famous food that is correlated with Rosh Hashanah is honey, which is why I thought it was a great burn, especially if you're Jewish and you celebrate. It would be a great burn, and even if you're not, to just really kind of participate with our Jewish friends. This might be a really good one to bring out. I know the label is kind of dark, but you can even turn it around or whatever else, and certainly burn this in September. So anyway, I tried it out this year because I definitely did want to try it as a September burn, and I can report that it does so well. Okay, so big preamble there. Let's just talk about the notes. The notes that Kringle gives us, very simple. Top notes, chai spice and honey. I would reverse those in terms of what it is that you're gonna smell. Honey first, chai spice second. Mid notes, interestingly, sandalwood and tea would kind of go along with those chai notes. I'm not picking up much sandalwood or tea. Base notes, cinnamon, aha, yes, and floral, no floral. At least not that I can smell. So that would be just in the dark mists of the fragrance. Very supporting cast. So if you lift the lid off on this one, yeah, it's just a ton of honey. Here I feel like I've burned it forever, but I'm about like right there. So I've burned it quite a bit, and it's burning like a champ. No problems. Yeah, but I would say it's a lot of honey. So initially last year when I smelled it, I said that I wasn't smelling much of any chai at all. It was really just kind of a deep, dark, kind of almost molassesy honey. This year, and it may be because it's sat for an entire year, it could be that I'm just picking up on something that I wasn't a year ago, but now I've got cinnamon. I've got a lot of cinnamon now that I wasn't necessarily smelling when it was a very fresh pour. And these were shipped and poured very quickly last year. So when I was getting it, they were just real fresh. Now it's a ton of cinnamon and a ton of honey. And yes, I think that there are some other associated chai spices underneath, i.e., maybe a little bit of clove, maybe a little bit of ginger, maybe a tiny bit of cardamom. But I would say that the chai spices definitely play a supporting role. The honey is what comes out primarily, which is pretty impressive given the fact that chai spices are pretty aggressive. Yeah, you would kind of expect it to be the opposite, where you've got chai spice and then honey like kind of swirling around, all that sort. Exactly the opposite. Which is why I said it's kind of a Rosh Hashanah candle, because it's just very honey forward. But it's lovely. It's really lovely. I would say that it is definitely mid-range to base. Yeah, I would say that. I don't know that it's like the basiest candle that I have, but it definitely kind of, like I said, it's a deep honey, not a high honey. It's very deep, very rich, and then it's got those like spices. I'm very happy to report too that the performance and the strength and the throw on this are incredible. Every time that I light this one up, I can smell it everywhere. I would say that this is at least a 7.5. 7.5 every single time it's burned. The throw is probably a bit more than that, probably an 8. And there were times where I lit it up and I thought, this is an 8 rather than a 7.5. Now, because though it's primarily just a honey candle, it's not complex enough and it doesn't sweep through the range kind of in the way that would give it a stereophonic kind of 7.5. This is my way of saying it is a little bit of a thin 7.5, but because it's a dark honey, it gives it a little bit more heft than otherwise it would be if it was just like a lighter honey candle. And by lighter, and I mean brighter, up in the higher range. So I would say this is a great candle, and you know, hardly anyone talks about this, and a lot of the other Halloween candles get a lot more buzz than this particular candle does. And it may be in part what I said at the beginning, which is that it's really hard to compete And unfortunately, it's locked into this kind of like Halloween marketing. It's kind of hard to compete with all of the like patchouli, smoke, vetiver, and then pumpkin and various other things that we all want to be burning in October. I just don't know if spiced chai honey is what you are reaching for during that season. And in that sense, the marketing kind of is a strike against it. If it was marketed more as just a fall candle and maybe put in their main line, I think it would get a lot more buzz. I do think, and although I love this candle very much, and I think it's really powerful and strong and certainly complete on its own, although one that probably a lot of people will find blends very well with other kinds of harvest candles. I do wonder if it's about like one major scent note shy of what it needs to be like a remarkable candle. Yeah? I'm almost wondering and wishing that they did add some like apple or something. Apple honey spice. It could still be a Rosh Hashanah candle because it's not just honey, but it's honey and apples that are the Rosh Hashanah like foods. So it could definitely be that. And if it was marketed more for the main line, I don't know, maybe just saying that it's a Rosh Hashanah candle, I hope that wouldn't exclude anyone with that marketing any more than like a Christmas candle, like couldn't be burned in any household. But it could also just be called like September or Sweet September or something like that, yeah? To really indicate that this is a lighter and earlier fall scent. And I think that if there was something like apple combined with it, it would make more sense to a larger audience as, I don't know, it would just defend itself better as a candle in and of its own right. Although people love vanilla candles, I was just about to say, is it too simple to just have like a honey candle, you know? But people like just straight up vanilla candles. So maybe it's totally fine the way that it is. The other direction that I thought it might go in, I was thinking to myself, what if they added sandalwood to it and gave it like a creaminess and maybe a woodiness? And I totally forgot that sandalwood was actually one of the notes in this candle. They have it here in the mid notes, but it just doesn't come across a whole lot. It's not really a creamy candle so much as like a gooey honey, sticky honey candle, yeah? But I think if they really pumped up the sandalwood, it would add another dimension that might be welcome, especially if the wood from the sandalwood kind of came through. So that's another direction I think they could maybe go if they wanted to tweak the fragrance. But to be honest, it certainly is strong enough. It throws great. It's a lovely candle. It's very sweet. Very sweet. Yeah, I mean, it works well for September. I think a lot of people who have bought it are happy with it, and I am happy with it. I just wonder if with a different marketing strategy, it might be purchased more often. It might be more successful for them. And I'm not behind the scenes, so I don't actually know how well it does, but I kind of suspect not quite as well as it should do, given how strong a candle it really is. So that's what I've got on Nevermore. There are the current pour for this year is still absolutely available, so I will link all of that below. I should probably add a disclaimer, which is that all of the thoughts and the notes that I have on Strength and Throw apply to this one, which is last year's pour. And there are some people who think that a candle does cure a little bit once it's like setting for a while, and that could have happened with this. So I can't vouch for the new pour for it to be up in that 8 range or 7.5, 8 range. But I did talk to a few people who bought the new one and they thought that theirs was. So if it's not out of the box, it very shortly should consistently stay in that 7.5, 8 realm, which is what we all like to see Kringle candles kind of be at. So I'm going to link that down below, even though it's not quite the stunning label that this one is. Hopefully they bring this back. And I just have one other little thing here. I just wanted to show you. Look what I've got. Halloween. So this sold out pretty quickly. And I didn't buy it at first because I was a little scared of black licorice. I just don't want a candle that smells like black licorice. Certainly not black licorice candy. I'm not that girl, you know? But there were a couple people who did seem to imply not only that it performed well, but that it was a strong pumpkin spice and anise. And I was just hoping against hope that it was more anise than it was licorice. And it all of a sudden came back to the website one morning and everyone's like, Halloween is still here. Grab it while you can. And I did. All I did was grab this one candle and it came and it is everything. Oh my gosh. I really hope that this performs well for me and that everything that I'm smelling on cold is what it is that I experience once it's burned. Because this is far and away the best Halloween candle that I've smelled of theirs. And it's not that spooky. And it is very anise forward, not licorice forward. So I know that a lot of black licorice, especially candy people, were really upset. Although I'm kind of not sure why, because the extensive list of notes, you know, didn't suggest that it was just a black licorice candle. But I'm very happy to say that it is less black licorice than it is anise. It's warm, it's rich, it's just everything. And as with Nevermore, I think this one should be re-released in the main line. This is the candle I would have loved to have seen in that fall release this year. That was not successful. That fall release was just so lackluster. We were missing candles like this. And I did say it's very likely, given the 27 Halloween candles that are going to come out, it's very likely that one or a few of those Halloween candles are going to really just be more fall candles than Halloween candles and should probably have been released for fall without the spooky marketing. This is definitely one of them. So stay tuned because once I burn this up, probably in October, maybe early October, I'll be giving you a nice review on this one as well. I do feel badly though because I don't think you're going to be able to just go out and purchase it, but I will do the afterburn review for posterity because I'm sure that in some format, either in the Halloween line or in the main line, this one will definitely be coming back for Kringle. I think there would be hue and cry if it didn't happen. So two really nice successes. Well, this one's pending, but yes, I really highly recommend Nevermore as well. Thank you, my friends. That's what we've got. Oh, by the way, Rosh Hashanah starts tomorrow. 15th through the 17th, I think, something like that. So light up your honey candles. Nevermore would be a great one. I'll catch you in the next one.